My name is Madison Hayes. I'm 31 years old, and the afternoon my sister told me I didn't deserve to attend the engagement party I'd spent 3 months and $4,000 of my own money planning. I was standing in her apartment in Scottsdale, holding a fabric swatch for tablecloths, listening to her fiancé Brittany laugh like I'd just told the funniest joke she'd ever heard. Ashley looked me straight in the eye and said it. "Actually, Madison, I don't think you should come to the party." I blinked. "What?" She glanced at Brittany, then back at me. "You just don't really fit the aesthetic we're going for. It's supposed to be elevated, curated, you know?" Brittany nodded, sipping her iced latte. "We want people there who get the vibe," she said. I stood there holding that fabric swatch, my brain trying to catch up with what I was hearing. "I planned this party," I said slowly. "And we're super grateful," Ashley said, her voice bright and fake. "But honestly, it's probably better if you just let us handle the day of stuff. You've done enough." I set the fabric down on her counter very carefully. Then I smiled. "Okay," I said, "no problem." I walked out, got in my car, and sat in the parking lot staring at my steering wheel for a solid 2 minutes. Then I pulled out my phone and booked a one-way ticket to Maui. A week later, the party collapsed. My phone exploded with 66 missed calls, 12 voicemails, and a series of texts so frantic they could have been mistaken for a natural disaster alert. But before I tell you what happened between that flight and those calls, and why my mother left me a voicemail saying I was the most selfish person she'd ever raised, tell me this. Have you ever worked so hard for someone that when they finally dismissed you, you didn't even get mad? You just left and let them figure out what they'd lost on their own. I need you to understand how we got here. Because this wasn't about one party or one insult. This was about 31 years of being the dependable one in a family that only valued people who demanded attention. My sister Ashley was 3 years younger than me. She was the kind of person who walked into a room and expected applause. And usually she got it. She was charming in that performative way that made people think she was more interesting than she actually was. She knew how to work a crowd, how to make people feel like they were part of something special just by being near her. I, on the other hand, was the one who made things happen behind the scenes. I was a cultural event planner. I coordinated festivals, gallery openings, fundraisers. I was good at logistics, good at details, good at making sure everything ran smoothly so other people could take credit, which is exactly what my family expected me to do for them. Growing up, Ashley was the star. I was the stagehand. She got lead roles in school plays. I ran the lighting. She threw parties. I cleaned up afterward. She made messes. I fixed them, and every time I pointed out how unbalanced it was, my mother said the same thing. "Ashley needs more support, Madison. You're capable. You'll be fine." What she meant was, Ashley's happiness is more important, and you're strong enough to deal with it. So I dealt with it. Until I couldn't anymore. 6 months earlier, Ashley had gotten engaged to Brittany Collins, a marketing consultant with an expensive haircut and the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. They'd been dating for 2 years. I liked Brittany fine at first. She was smart, ambitious, a little self-absorbed, but not terrible. Then they got engaged, and suddenly every conversation became about the wedding, not the engagement party. The wedding. Because apparently the engagement party was just the warm-up. My mother called me the day after they announced it. "Ashley wants you to plan the engagement party," she said. I was at work, standing in the back of an art gallery making notes for an upcoming exhibition. "She wants me to plan it?" I asked. "Yes, you're so good at this stuff and it would mean a lot to her." I hesitated. "Mom, I'm really busy right now. I know, sweetie, but this is family, and you know how important this is to Ashley." There it was, the guilt. I sighed. "Okay, I'll do it." She sounded relieved. "Thank you, Madison. You're a lifesaver." I hung up and immediately regretted saying yes, but that's what I always did. I said yes, because saying no felt like letting everyone down. The first planning meeting was at Ashley's apartment. She lived in a modern complex in Scottsdale with floor-to-ceiling windows and furniture that looked expensive but uncomfortable. Brittany was already there when I arrived, sitting on the couch with a notebook open in her lap. Ashley hugged me. Thank you so much for doing this, she said. I know you're busy, but honestly, I can't imagine anyone else pulling this off. I smiled. Of course. What are you thinking for the vibe? She and Brittany exchanged a look. Then Brittany said, We're thinking something really high-end. Elegant, like a Vogue party. Ashley nodded. Exactly. We want people to feel like they're at an event, not just a regular party. I pulled out my phone and started taking notes. Okay. Guest count? Around 150, Ashley said. I looked up. 150? She shrugged. We have a lot of people we want to celebrate with. I did some quick math in my head. That's going to be expensive. Brittany waved her hand. We're not worried about budget. We just want it to be perfect. I should have pushed back right then. I should have asked who was paying for it, but I didn't, because I assumed they meant they would cover it. I was wrong. Over the next 3 months, I coordinated everything. I found a venue, a rooftop space with views of the desert, and enough room for the guest list that kept growing every time I checked in. I booked a caterer, not just any caterer, the one Ashley insisted on after seeing their Instagram. I arranged florals, custom centerpieces, a floral arch for photos. I hired a photographer, a bartender, a DJ. I designed the invitations myself because the ones Ashley liked were $800 and she thought that was too much. But then she picked a font that required a custom print job anyway. Every week there was a new request. Can we add a champagne tower? Can we get macarons with our initials on them? Can we upgrade the lighting package? I said yes to all of it, because I thought they were paying. 2 weeks before the party, I sent Ashley an invoice summary, not a bill, just a breakdown of costs so she could see where we were at. She called me an hour later. Madison, what is this? It's the budget summary, I said, just so you know what everything's running. Why are you sending me this? I frowned. So you can approve the final numbers before I close out the contracts. She laughed. I'm not paying for this. My stomach dropped. What? I thought you were handling it. You're the planner. Ashley, I'm coordinating. I'm not funding it. Well, I don't have this kind of money, she said, and Brittany and I are saving for the wedding. I sat down. You told me not to worry about budget. I meant don't cheap out, she said. I didn't mean I was going to pay for it. I closed my eyes. So who's paying? I don't know, she said. Can't you just cover it and we'll pay you back later? I felt something cold settle in my chest. Ashley, this is over $4,000. And I don't have that kind of money just sitting around. She sighed, annoyed. Madison, this is my engagement party. I thought you wanted to do something nice for me. I do, I said, but I can't afford to fund it myself. Fine, she said. I'll ask Mom. She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, trying to figure out how I'd let this happen. An hour later, my mother called. Madison, Ashley said you're having an issue with the party budget. I explained the situation, the costs, the assumption, the fact that I'd already put deposits down on my own credit card because I thought I'd be reimbursed. My mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Well, you did agree to plan it. I agreed to coordinate, I said, not to pay for it. I think there was just a miscommunication, she said. But honestly, Madison, you make good money. Can't you just cover this as a gift? I felt my throat tighten. Mom, it's $4,000. And it's your sister's engagement, she said. This is a big moment for her. Don't make it difficult. I'm not making it difficult, I said. I'm just saying I can't afford to pay for the whole thing. She sighed. I'll talk to your father, but honestly, I'm a little disappointed. I thought you'd want to do this for her. She hung up before I could respond. I sat on my couch that night, staring at the budget spreadsheet on my laptop and realized something. They expected me to pay. Not because they didn't have money, but because I always said yes. And this time, saying yes was going to cost me $4,000 I didn't have. The next week, I went to Ashley's apartment to finalize details. She was in a good mood. Brittany was there too, scrolling through her phone. So, I think we're all set, I said. The venue's confirmed, catering's locked in, florals are ordered. Ashley smiled. Perfect. This is going to be amazing. I hesitated. Did Mom talk to you about the budget? She waved her hand. Yeah, she said she'd help out. Don't worry about it. I frowned. Help out how much? I don't know. she said. Enough. It'll be fine. That should have been a red flag. But I let it go. The day before the party, I was at the venue doing a final walkthrough when Ashley called. Hey, so change of plans, she said. What kind of change? Brittany and I were talking, and we think it's better if you don't actually come to the party. I stopped walking. What? She laughed nervously. It's not personal. It's just, you've been so involved in the planning, and we want the actual event to feel separate, you know? Like we want it to be about us, not about the logistics. I stood there in the middle of an empty rooftop, holding my phone, trying to process what she was saying. Ashley, I said slowly, I planned this entire party. I know, and we're so grateful. But honestly, you just don't really fit the vibe we're going for. I heard Brittany laugh in the background, and then Ashley said the thing that broke something in me. You just don't deserve to be there, Madison. This is our moment. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said, okay. Then I hung up, walked to my car, and drove home. And that night, I booked a flight to Maui. I landed in Maui at 11 in the morning. The air was warm and heavy with salt and flowers. And the second I stepped off the plane, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Relief. I took a shuttle to a small hotel near Wailea, checked in, dropped my bag in the room, and walked straight to the beach. The sand was soft under my feet. The water was impossibly blue. I stood there for a long time, just breathing. Then I turned off my phone. I didn't want to see the messages. I didn't want to hear my mother's voice telling me I was being selfish. I didn't want to watch my sister's party unfold on social media while I sat alone in a hotel room feeling sorry for myself. I just wanted to exist without them for a while. For 3 days, I didn't check my phone once. I swam in the ocean. I ordered room service. I sat on the hotel balcony at sunrise with coffee and watched the sky turn pink and gold. I met a woman named Carol at the hotel pool. She was in her 60s, traveling alone after her husband passed away. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. She told me about her life. I told her about mine. When I mentioned my sister's party, she looked at me and said something I'll never forget. People who don't value you don't deserve access to you. I nodded, feeling the truth of it settle in my chest. On the 4th day, I turned my phone back on. It took a full 2 minutes to load all the notifications. 66 missed calls, 49 text messages, 14 voicemails. I sat on the edge of my hotel bed and stared at the screen. Most of the calls were from my mother, some from Ashley, a few from numbers I didn't recognize. I opened the first voicemail. It was my mother. Her voice was sharp. Madison, I don't know what kind of stunt you think you're pulling, but you need to call me back right now. Your sister's party is tomorrow and she's in a panic. Call me. I deleted it. The next one was from 2 hours later. Her voice had shifted to frantic. Madison, where are you? The caterer is asking about final head count, and I don't know what to tell them. Ashley is losing her mind. You need to answer your phone. I deleted that one too. The third voicemail was from the night of the party. My mother's voice was tight, barely controlled. I cannot believe you would do this to your sister. After everything she's done for you, you've completely ruined her night. I hope you're proud of yourself. I set the phone down and took a breath. Then I opened the text messages. The first one was from Ashley, sent the morning of the party. Where are you? Mom said you're not answering. We need you here now. Then another, an hour later. Madison. This isn't funny. The florist delivered the wrong flowers. The caterer is asking questions I can't answer. Get here. Then one from my mother. You are being incredibly selfish. This is your sister's special day and you're making it about you. I scrolled further. There was a message from Brittany. Your sister is crying because of you. I hope you know that. Then one from Ashley again, sent during the party. Everything is falling apart. I hope you're happy. I read them all, every single one. And I felt nothing. Not anger, not guilt, not even satisfaction. Just a quiet, steady certainty that I'd made the right choice. I turned the phone off again and went back to the beach. That night, I sat at a beachside restaurant and ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, a lobster tail with garlic butter and a glass of wine that cost more than I usually spent on a week of groceries. I ate slowly, watching the waves, and thought about all the times I'd put myself last, all the times I'd said yes when I wanted to say no, all the times I'd paid for things I couldn't afford because someone else needed me to, and I realized something. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn love from people who only valued me when I was useful. I wasn't going to do that anymore. I stayed in Maui for another week. I extended my hotel reservation. I went snorkeling. I took a helicopter tour over a volcano. I read 3 books, and I didn't call home. On my last day, I finally checked my messages again. There were more, so many more. But the tone had changed. My mother wasn't frantic anymore. She was angry. Madison, I don't know what you think you've accomplished, but you've deeply hurt your sister. She deserved better from you. Ashley's messages were cold. I can't believe you abandoned me like this. After everything I've done for you, don't expect me to forgive you anytime soon. Brittany sent one message. You're a terrible sister. I read them all. Then I deleted every single one. But there was one message that caught my attention. It was from my best friend, Lauren Mitchell. Hey, I heard about the party. Call me when you can. No judgment, just want to make sure you're okay. I called her. She answered on the first ring. Madison, oh my God, where are you? Maui, I said. She laughed. Good, stay there as long as you need. I smiled. I'm flying back tomorrow. She was quiet for a second. Then she said, I heard the party was a disaster. I sat up. What happened? She sighed. Okay, so apparently the caterer showed up with the wrong menu, like completely wrong. Ashley had ordered this fancy Mediterranean spread, but they brought barbecue. I blinked. Barbecue? Yeah. Pulled pork. Coleslaw. The whole thing. Apparently there was a mix-up with another event and nobody caught it until the food showed up. I felt a smile tug at my lips. What else? The flowers were wrong too. Ashley wanted white orchids and peonies. They got carnations. Cheap ones. Oh no. And the lighting, Lauren continued. Apparently the venue's lighting package wasn't what Ashley thought it was. It was way too dim. People couldn't even see the floral arch. I covered my mouth. Lauren kept going. And then, halfway through the party, Ashley and Brittany got into a huge fight. In front of everyone. About the budget. My stomach dropped. What about the budget? Apparently Brittany didn't know Ashley had promised your mom would help pay for it, and your mom didn't know she was supposed to cover the whole thing. So when the bills started coming in after the party, everyone started pointing fingers. I closed my eyes. How bad was it? Bad enough that people are saying Ashley and Brittany might call off the engagement. I sat there in silence, trying to process. Lauren's voice softened. Madison, I know this sounds terrible, but honestly, you dodged a bullet. That party was a mess because nobody actually knew what they were doing. You were the one holding it all together. And the second you stepped back, it all fell apart. I didn't say anything. She continued. Your family took you for granted, and now they're dealing with the consequences. I swallowed. I didn't want this to happen, I said quietly. I know, Lauren said, but it's not your fault. You didn't ruin the party. They did, by treating you like you didn't matter. When I landed back in Phoenix 2 days later, I didn't tell anyone I was home. I went straight to my apartment, unpacked, and tried to settle back into normal life. But my phone kept buzzing. My mother called 3 times that first day. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Madison, we need to talk. There are bills that need to be paid, and your sister is very upset. You need to come over so we can figure this out as a family. I deleted it. Ashley texted, Can you at least call Mom back? She's freaking out about money, and I don't know what to tell her. I didn't reply. 2 days later, my mother showed up at my apartment. I opened the door and found her standing there with her arms crossed. We need to talk, she said. I stepped aside and let her in. She didn't sit down. She just stood in my living room and looked at me like I'd committed a crime. Do you have any idea what you've done? She asked. I crossed my arms. What did I do, Mom? You abandoned your sister? You left her high and dry. The party was a disaster, and it's your fault. I stared at her. I planned that party for 3 months, I said quietly. I coordinated every detail. I put deposits down on my own credit card. And then Ashley told me I didn't deserve to be there. My mother waved her hand. She didn't mean it like that. Yes, I said. She did. You're being dramatic. No, I said. I'm being honest. And you don't like it. She glared at me. You owe your sister an apology. I almost laughed. For what? For ruining her party. I didn't ruin her party, I said. I just wasn't there to fix it when everything went wrong. Because you ran off to Hawaii. Because I chose myself for once, I said. She stared at me. Then she said, You're being selfish. And you're being unfair, I said. You've always been unfair. Ashley gets everything. I get blamed for everything. And I'm done. Her face went red. Don't you dare speak to me like that. I took a breath. Mom, I love you, but I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to keep sacrificing myself so Ashley can have everything she wants. I'm not going to keep saying yes when I should be saying no. And I'm not going to apologize for finally choosing my own peace. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Then she turned and walked out. I stood there in my apartment, my hands shaking, and realized something. For the first time in my life, I'd set a boundary, and it felt terrifying. But it also felt right. The week after my mother left, I didn't hear from anyone in my family. No calls, no texts, no angry voicemails, just silence. At first, I kept checking my phone, expecting the next wave of guilt or anger or demands, but it never came. Lauren called to check on me. How are you holding up? She asked. Honestly, I said, I don't know, it's weird. I keep waiting for them to reach out, but they haven't. Maybe they're finally realizing you're serious. Maybe, I said, or maybe they're just done with me. She was quiet for a second. Then she said, Would that be the worst thing? I thought about it. No, I said, I don't think it would. We talked for a while longer. She told me about a new client she'd landed, a tech startup that needed help with their brand launch. Then she asked if I'd be interested in collaborating on some cultural events for them. I hesitated. I don't know if I'm ready to jump back into work yet. I'm not asking you to jump, she said. I'm asking you to consider it. You're really good at what you do, Madison, and you deserve to work with people who actually appreciate that. I'll think about it, I said. After we hung up, I sat on my couch and stared at the wall. For the first time in months, I didn't have a party to plan. I didn't have a family crisis to manage. I didn't have anyone demanding my time or my money or my energy. I just had myself, and I wasn't sure what to do with that. 2 weeks later, I got a text from Ashley. It was short. Can we talk? I stared at it for a long time before replying. About what? She didn't respond right away. Then an hour later, she sent another message. I think we need to clear the air. I didn't reply. The next day, she called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hey, she said. Her voice was different, softer, almost uncertain. Hey, I said. There was a long pause. Then she said, I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. She continued, I'm sorry for what I said about you not deserving to be at the party. That was really messed up. I waited. She took a breath. And I'm sorry for assuming you'd just pay for everything. I didn't realize how much I was asking, or how much you'd already done. I leaned back against my couch. Okay, I said. Okay? She repeated. Yeah. I appreciate the apology. She was quiet for a moment, then she said Brittany and I broke up. I sat up. What? We called off the engagement, she said. A few days after the party, we got into a huge fight about money and planning and, I don't know, everything, and we realized we weren't ready. I'm sorry, I said. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. Don't be. It was probably for the best. I think we were so caught up in the idea of a wedding that we didn't actually think about the marriage. I didn't know what to say. Anyway, she continued, I've been doing a lot of thinking. About the party, about how I treated you, about how we all treated you. And I was wrong, she said. I took you for granted. I assumed you'd always just be there, cleaning up my messes. And when you weren't, everything fell apart. I felt something soften in my chest. Thank you for saying that. I said quietly. She sniffed. Are we okay? I thought about it. I don't know yet, I said honestly. I appreciate the apology. But this isn't just about the party, Ashley. It's about years of feeling like I didn't matter unless I was being useful. She was quiet. Then she said, I get that, and I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. Okay, I said. We talked for a few more minutes. It wasn't a perfect conversation. There were awkward pauses and things left unsaid, but it was a start. When we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not that everything would go back to normal, but that maybe, eventually, we could build something better. A month later, Lauren and I met for coffee. She slid a folder across the table. What's this? I asked. A proposal, she said, for the tech startup I mentioned. They want to do a series of cultural pop-up events, art installations, live music, food, very experiential, very you. I opened the folder and skimmed the details. It was a 6-month contract. Good pay, creative freedom. I looked up at her. You think I should do this? She smiled. I think you should do what makes you happy. But yeah, I think you'd be really good at this. I closed the folder. Can I think about it? Of course, she said. But don't think too long. They want to move fast. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with the folder open in front of me. I thought about the last 3 months, about Hawaii, about the party, about the fight with my mother and the apology from Ashley. I thought about all the years I'd spent planning events for other people, making their visions come to life while putting my own dreams on hold. And I realized something. I didn't want to keep doing that. I wanted to create something that was mine. I called Lauren the next morning. I'm in, I said. She laughed. I knew you would be. Over the next few months, I threw myself into the project. We launched the first pop-up event in downtown Phoenix, an outdoor art installation paired with live jazz and small plate food vendors. It was intimate, creative, and exactly the kind of work I loved doing. The client was thrilled. The feedback was incredible. And for the first time in years, I felt proud of something I'd built. Lauren and I started getting inquiries from other companies. More events, more collaborations. And slowly I started to rebuild. Not just my career, but my sense of self. 3 months after the engagement party that never was, my mother called. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Madison, she said. Her voice was careful. Hi, Mom. She was quiet for a second. Then she said, I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about how we treated you. Okay. And I think, she paused, I think you were right. I didn't say anything. She continued. I didn't realize how much we were asking of you, or how little we were giving back. And I'm sorry. It was the first real apology she'd ever given me. Thank you, I said. She took a breath. I don't expect everything to go back to normal. But I'd like to try, if you're willing. I thought about it. I'm willing to try, I said, but things have to be different. I know, she said. We talked for a while longer, about boundaries, about expectations, about what a healthier relationship might look like. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and that was more than we'd ever had before. By the time summer rolled around, I was in a completely different place than I'd been 6 months earlier. I had a growing business. I had clients who respected my work. I had friendships that felt reciprocal. And I had a life that felt like mine. Ashley and I started talking more regularly, not every day, but enough that it felt like we were rebuilding something. She'd started therapy. She told me she was working on herself, on understanding why she'd always needed to be the center of attention. I'm learning that I was really insecure, she said one day. And I think I made you feel small because it made me feel bigger. I appreciate you saying that, I said. She nodded. I'm trying to do better. I believed her. One evening, I was sitting on my balcony watching the sunset when Lauren texted me. Just saw your latest event got featured in Phoenix magazine. You're kind of a big deal now. I smiled. Not a big deal. Just doing what I love. She sent back a heart emoji. That's the whole point. I set my phone down and looked out at the city. I thought about the person I'd been 6 months ago. The person who said yes to everything, who sacrificed herself to keep other people happy, who believed her worth was measured by how much she could give, that person was gone. Not because I'd become hard or bitter or closed off, but because I'd finally learned that loving people didn't mean losing myself. Here's what I learned from all of this. Your family doesn't get to take your time, your money, or your peace just because you're related. They don't get to dismiss your worth and then expect you to show up when it's convenient for them. And you don't owe them your presence if they've spent years treating it like it doesn't matter. Some people will call that selfish. Some people will say family is supposed to forgive everything, tolerate anything, show up no matter what. But those people aren't the ones who had to choose between their own dignity and someone else's comfort. So if you're listening to this and you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever been the one who planned and paid and showed up and still got told you weren't good enough, I want you to know something. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to book the flight to Hawaii. You're allowed to turn off your phone and choose yourself. And you're allowed to come back only when they're ready to treat you with the respect you deserve. Because love without respect isn't love. It's just obligation dressed up in guilt. And you deserve better than that. From my point of view, this story is a reminder that boundaries aren't punishments. They're protection. And sometimes the people who claim to love us most need to lose access to us before they understand what they had. The strongest thing you can do isn't always forgiving someone who hurt you. Sometimes it's refusing to let them do it again. So I'll ask you this. Have you ever walked away from something you worked hard for because the people involved didn't value you? And if so, how did you find the courage to choose yourself? If this story meant something to you, if it reminded you that your peace is worth protecting, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe. There are more stories like this, stories about people who chose themselves, and I'd love to share them with you.